It's me, the GOAT, the greatest of all time. Feeling footloose and fancy free. I did make it safely to Helsinki from Rio, where I saw some hoops last night in Latvia. But I was in Finland today, and here we got Honka basketball. Now this is Jamar, coaching, assistant coach with Honka. We're going to talk a little about his playing days and his coaching days. But this Honka, founded I believe in the 1950s, had its heydays in the late 60s, early 70s. Unlike a lot of clubs in Europe, it only focuses on one sport, basketball. And before I forget this in any other video, it had the best name in the late 60s, early 70s, the Honka Playboys. And apparently, the guys dressed like, Studio 54. Alright, that's enough of the goofy stuff. So, Jamar here played his college ball at Albany. Now, where did you actually grow up in the States? Where are you from?
I'm originally from New York, so I grew up in the Bronx, New York.
Oh, from the Bronx, the borough. Okay. Went to play at Albany.
Yep.
And let's just do a Cliff Notes summation here. Yep. After college, did you go right overseas? What happened?
Just pretty much. Okay. Yeah, I did the NBA camps, didn't work. Played in Belgium my first 3 years, and then kind of been overseas ever since.
Okay. Yeah. So how many, now that you're coaching, your playing career was approximately how many years internationally?
16.
16!
Yeah.
Woo!
Yeah.
So you had a great career playing, 16 years. You played in Belgium. Just a brief synopsis, not going to be the years, but just what other countries were you were based in that country and you played for?
I guess I was
remember.
I was kind of a journeyman, so I was in Belgium 3 years. I played in France 4 years. I played in Spain. I played in Australia for 4 years. I played in Lithuania, Serbia.
So you've got a good, you've got a good overview. Australia, I was there. Great hoops over there.
Yep.
But you've got a really good overview of Europe.
Yes.
Right? And now you're coaching. So before we get into some of the questions on the coaching side, how long have you been coaching now?
Oh, this is my first year.
Okay, so you just recently made the transition.
Yes.
Then.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. And he is coaching here in Honka. Now, I asked this question of the big man moments ago in the other big video of the Finnish, the 43-year-old ageless wonder. We have to just talk about him briefly. How does he do that? Like, he's 43. He's like a freak of nature. Tell me about that.
He's a specimen. I've actually played with him on the national team, and the way he takes care of his body,
that's what
I think it's really important. And I think his mindset on life, I think he's really structured. He's a structured person, and I think it goes a long way. So obviously, Father Time is, it happens, but when you take care of your body, you kind of lessen the odds of it happening sooner than later. So for him, he actually kind of slimmed up and actually,
He looks, in fact, I told in the last video, I was looking in the stands talking with Mikko, who's the press officer for the Finnish. He's like, that guy's 43. What? I mean, I could tell him the hair, but now you said you're an American. But were you eligible to play on the Finnish national team?
Yes.
You were?
Yeah.
Okay,
so, in my previous life, I was married to a Finn.
Interesting.
And we met in college. She played basketball as well. And then I got my nationality in 2015.
So you're a Finnish resident as well?
Yeah, so I've been playing with the national team until I stopped playing.
So before we dive into the Europe stuff, let's talk a little bit briefly about you. So how long have you been living here, basically, in Finland?
Well, we got our first place. I bought my first place in 2010.
Oh wow! So you're a dual citizen here. We got an American Finnish.
For sure. So this has been like our home.
And your family's here?
No, I have kids, but obviously my family's still back in New York.
Okay.
But
you have a partner here.
Yeah. So when I was playing in Europe, it was easy to come home on the weekends when we had a weekend home.
Sure.
So I spent a lot of my time here. And still to this day, it's my favorite place on earth.
So let's talk about Europe basketball.
Yeah.
Because I think you've got a really good perspective, having played for so many years, 16 years, most of it in Europe. And I asked this question of the big man earlier. Obviously you've got the top dog, right? And we saw it in the World Cup. Germany beat Serbia, the U.S. finished 4th, lost to Canada. Latvia made some progress. Obviously Lithuania is always good, and then you've got the EuroLeague teams, right? And it's hard for Finland, right? Because of population, and basketball is maybe the 3rd most popular sport. But have you seen the progression here of, okay, we've got the top dogs, and Finland maybe is in the second, third tier. Are you seeing the slow growth? I mean, do you think, for example, in the Eurobasket next year, you guys, the Finland team will be competitive, will have a chance to be competitive in the tournament? Are you seeing a little bit of growth, or what do you see?
For sure, I've actually seen exponential growth, right? And I think it's because obviously, like having guys like Lauri Markkinen and having success in Europe, and then before that, you know, Becky Koponen, who played in Barcelona. I feel like the sport is growing here, and obviously, like you said, the population is so much smaller, but we kind of have this kind of David and Goliath kind of attitude, and I think where we lack in skill and size, we always kind of excelled with the team chemistry. So I think our system kind of runs from the young guys that's being in the system and kind of grow up playing in the system. So when they come to the men's team, they kind of already are integrated in the system. So I think now that we're starting to get a little bit bigger and taller, there's kind of this gap now where we have the skills now on top of the chemistry, but now it's just finding the balance, you know?
So let me ask you a question. So obviously on your team here tonight, and by the way, this was a second league team, not the top league, the second league. Now the winner, if let's say Honka wins the second league, they get promoted to the top league. But my question is, you've got a couple of foreign guys, right?
Yeah.
But most of them are Finns,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Did these guys more or less grow up starting to play? I saw the other gym next door here.
Yeah.
And is that kind of what you're referring to in terms of they know each other?
Yes.
Okay.
And this gym is maybe 10, 15 years old.
Yeah.
So this is what I mean by actually having a place for the kids to go.
Sure.
So they kind of, a lot of the guys kind of grew up in the system, you know. So now they're, you know, trying to, you know, they're professional now, but trying to take the next jump, and it's kind of, I wouldn't say easy, but there's a good balance because you're already kind of familiarized with the system and the culture of the club.
Yeah. So I'm going to post some pictures. At halftime, I went over to a developmental gym where they can split the gym into 3 courts. There was a boys' youth game going on, a girls' youth game going on, and that's what he's referring to. And they start here about what, 5 or 6 or 7? How do they, somewhere in there?
Nowadays they are. Yeah,
wow, how about that?
Yeah, they actually have the really bitty basket where they bring the rims down. So this is quite unusual for me because growing up in New York, like we didn't start. I started playing, I would say at 6, but you were actually playing on the high hoop.
Right.
You weren't really playing, but you know, now there's coaches and things like that, you know, for guys and kids and girls. But I mean, it's a lot of juniors. I mean, we have one of the biggest junior clubs in Finland. So,
do you know about how many participate at all?
I mean, I don't want to throw out any numbers. I do know that we're number 2 or 3 in terms of junior clubs, but
I mean, the facility is very impressive.
Let's say even for my son's team, he's 7 years old. They have about 50 guys, 50, you know, 50 kids at his age that's playing, and my daughter has about 60.
So 2 of your kids are playing in the system here. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, very interesting. Okay, just a couple last questions. Thank you so much for your time. And I ask this of every person I know, knowing our audience is American, we're introducing you to them, you played overseas. And this can be even during your time in the States. As a player, what was your proudest moment?
I think my proudest moment, it's a few. I would say one of them is definitely the first time I suited up for the national team.
For the Finland?
Yeah, hearing the national anthem.
Sure. Was this before or after you became a Finnish citizen?
It was after. It was 2015. We were playing in the Eurobasket.
So it had
France.
a little bit more meaning as well.
Yeah. I mean, because it's kind of like something that you play for.
Sure, absolutely.
And then second is probably I played for.
Was that the game that he was telling me about that you won? You beat France? Was that
That
game?
was in 2017.
Okay, different year. Okay, sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, no problem.
What was the second one?
And I played for probably one of the biggest clubs in Europe and maybe the world. It's called Partizan. It's
okay, the big boys in Belgrade.
Yes. Yeah, so I played there, and just the experience was just unique. My son was born there, and
very cool.
It was just a very good experience.
Now, when you were playing for Partizan, were they in the EuroLeague at the time?
No, they weren't. So
but they were still a top dog in Serbia.
They were still.
Now, my understanding is, and I think last I was at the EuroLeague Athens rivalry on 14 March. I think they've matured a little bit. They didn't throw flares on the court.
And I was
was that going on when you were at Partizan?
Yes. Yeah, so I was around a time where they were throwing flares and coins and
The laser in your eye.
Actually, phones too,
Phones? Oh my goodness. So let's wrap this up. This
Yep.
is a great transition. Thanks again.
No problem.
What do you recall the craziest fan atmosphere game along those lines of phones or coins? Is any game that jumps out in particular where it's like, this is getting kind of ridiculous, or this, I mean, is just off the charts? Like, we had to run to the locker room because they were throwing anything that jumps out like a single moment or game.
Well, I mean, there were some games that like my family couldn't come to, like you have the Red Star Partisan rivalry.
Oh, sure.
But I think in general, being escorted quite oftenly by the SWAT teams, so actually having like I wouldn't say SWAT teams, but with the shields, the brigades. So that was always quite interesting.
Now, was that only in Serbia, or where was that?
That was wherever we traveled. So whenever we played in the ABA League, so if we went to Croatia, there were certain games that we would go to.
So even when you went to Croatia, those fans would be so amped against Partizan that you guys would need some safety.
I mean, it's one of the big clubs, and then also you like when you're playing in the ABA League, it's kind of like country versus country too.
Yeah.
There's some pride.
Yeah, there is. And you're talking about the ABA League,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So the ABA League this is actually a good final, I keep saying final, I promise this is the final question. So we've got the NBA, we've got the Euro League.
Yeah.
Where would you put like the ABA and the Champions League and some of these others? Just do it Americanized to simplify it.
I think it would be, you got the Euro League, and I think the Euro Cup is like under Euro Cup, and then you would have like ABA right there, but it's really hard because in ABA League you have 2 or 3 Euro League teams,
right.
So
to simplify this, what he's referring to is Euro League is basically the NBA of Europe. But then underneath that, Europe being a very big continent, the ABA, and I don't know what the ABA stands for, but Adriatic Basketball Association, Jamar's got it. I think you've got Croatia, Serbia, Montenegro, maybe Slovenia.
Yes.
So those countries border each other or fairly closely, and so they compete for their own championship. And to Jamar's point, the teams in Serbia, the big dogs, Serbia and Partizan and Red Star, will compete, let's say, against the top team, Bukanos, I think it is, in Montenegro. I think it's maybe Sabona. Goga is still learning. Sabona in Croatia, right? So so that's what you're referring to, where it's almost like, and it is like international basketball match. So the reason I do these videos to wrap this up, folks, is when you watch the Olympics, that's every 4 years. You can see this stuff on your next European vacation. I do it all the time. I have the funnest job there ever is. That's why I'm the greatest of all time sports live, and I like great Muhammad Ali on the prettiest thing I ever lived. Jamar, thank you so much for your time. Basketball in Finland, we're over and out. Sorry that took so long.
No problem.
Thank you for your time.